Tunche.
What's up, man? I think I can finish this game. I got to the final boss last night, and got a really stupid gimmick I couldn't figure out. I think I've got enough health to brute force it. Bosses in this game are a mixed bag. Best boss is the third one. The rest are a little bit too gimmicky. The fourth boss is like everything wrong with the game, just a lot of projectile spam. I wouldn't say the bosses are the weak point, but they're not as good as they should be. They manage to be more annoying than fun. I have max damage, I have max damage, max health. The bosses are dying pretty fast now. No, the bosses aren't as much of a pacing issue as they were before. You can't ignore the passives in this game. you have to take them. Make the game a lot less frustrating. It really is a grindy game in disguise. Like, let's be real here, you're not finishing this with the base health and the base damage. Everything takes so much longer to kill. I'm plowing through this now. Mostly just the last boss is going to be the gatekeeper. Last boss is Gimmick City. Definitely a boss I wouldn't be opposed to just bursting to death. Kind of feels like a DFO raid boss in a way. Like, not bad, just not something you'd want to fight like multiple times. Yeah, I almost beat him last night, but it's not a fun boss fight at all. Like, not fun, the slightest. I get what they were trying to do with the boss fights, but they really vary in quality. I'd say the first and the third one are the best, because the attacks they're really well telegraphed. It's obvious what to do. The problem is the last boss, which I didn't show last night. Well, I did show it last night, but I got the last phase after I stopped my stream. I couldn't sleep, like I said. It's not clear what to do, and I think that's bad game design. I think that's bad game design when, you know, it's permadeath. Like, you kind of have to chill on the gimmicks when you have permadeath in your game. And I think that's the problem with these boss fights, is the first time that you fight them, if you don't manage to just have 500 IQ and get the gimmicks right away, you will die every time. And I don't think that's good game design, to be honest with you. The bosses should be able to be cleared. They shouldn't have any stupid stuff like that. But the final boss is full of it. Like, there's tons of it. The last phase, I didn't even know what to do. I'm like, don't give me anything but hit them until they die. 40 minutes into a roguelike permadeath. I don't know, it's kind of jerk game design if you ask me. I'm sure this time I'll get it. There won't be any problem, but... It's not fun when you die in a permadeath game because there's a gimmick that you don't know, instead of, you know, I got hit by this attack, or I didn't land a counter or something, but in this game it's like, well, I didn't read the gimmick right away. So now I have to start over. I just don't think gimmicks in this kind of game really have any place. I think Wizard of Legend did this kind of thing better. It's like, yes, they have gimmicks, but it's mostly just how to dodge the attack, not like... Well, I didn't know how to do this gimmick blind without a walkthrough or guide or anything, so now I die. Now. This might be the run. And then I can get my overview out. Then I gotta do Okinawa Rush, which I already beat that game, so that won't take long. Then I'll be free from review key homework. Well, I have a couple other games I need to do. I haven't gotten around to them yet. Yeah, I'm curious what the final boss will unlock, like if there's like a post-game or something. I couldn't find any videos of the final boss. So when I get to the boss, remind me to mute my mic. I'm gonna local record. Dump that up for the views. It shouldn't take long to get there. I'm doing so much damage now. If this run doesn't make it, I'll probably do another one. Might do another one. Already at the second boss. Halfway done with the game. He's probably gonna die a lot faster now. You know, I think this is one of the worst bosses. This boss and the final boss. Kind of just not interesting. Boss sucks. Worst boss. Waiting. Standard time-wasting boss. And the third phase is piss easy. Third phase is a lot more fun, actually. How much easier is that than the first time? I'm glad they don't market this as a skill-based game. I mean, obviously it's skill-based. Every attack is dodgeable and stuff, but some of how the bosses are designed, it feels like it's that way to, like, lengthen the game. Kind of padded out. I don't really think you could do this like Hades. Hades, you actually can finish that game without any grinding. I really don't think you can do that in this game. You have too little health, and you do too little damage, which means that you have to play essentially perfectly for a really long time. People actually speedrun beating Hades on a fresh file. Like, it's actually designed. Balancing in that game is a lot better. The grind helps, but it's not necessary. Yeah, this game is not balanced like that at all. It really isn't. And the way the bosses are designed, it's nothing like those other two games where the enemies are always vulnerable. In this game, you gotta sit through all the gimmicks, so... I definitely think the bosses are like the worst part of this game. They really tried to give them that old school feel, but the RPG elements kind of go against it. Like, these boss fights are going like twice as fast because I did the grinding. And now they're not even really frustrating at all, but at the start, it just feels very repetitive. It's like they tried to have that old school feeling, like, you know, memorize the pattern and react accordingly, but then, you know, the grind doesn't trivialize it at all. You can still get killed. It's just it gets boring waiting. I'm more into that design if the game actually gives you, like, ways to kill them faster. Let's see, what cores do I have? I already got pretty much all the good ones. I don't think there's anything that would really help with the boss. I'm sure this game will get a lot of patches. I mean, it's kind of hard to judge it the way it is now. I just can't really. Judging by YouTube, very few other people who got a key for this have gotten very far, so... Can't really make changes when that's the case. I'm gonna try to just hold on to my gold. Next run, whether this one finishes or not, I can get a bunch of stuff. I'm not bothering with challenges, not worth it. Let's just get to the end of the game. Why does every game have to have annoying flying enemies? Guys are so obnoxious. These mages put out this homing projectile, and they immediately do it again. No cooldown on it. Vital Explorer is good. Let's grab more experience. No matter what happens on this run, I should be able to get a new move. I've already got like 2 I can get pretty much. No, you don't. Nice. I love off-screen projectiles. Still alive, too. Ugh. Can we make less annoying enemies? Just spam off-screen. Really engaging. Come on, get out of the Shadow Realm. Bastard. Every game's gotta have a projectile spammer. Always like just water torture to fight. Not challenging, just annoying. This is the best boss fight. I really like this boss fight. No, don't soft lock on me. Okay, good. Jeez, I thought it soft locked. It's taking a long time to come back. Would have been pissed. Yeah, it does. It does have loading like that. No, it's not like Critadel. The game bugs out and you lose everything. No, it's not like that. They definitely had the foresight to know that runs in this are pretty long. Roguelike standards. Especially with the emphasis on co-op, we wanted to make sure people could, just like play for a little bit, and play for a little bit, come back later, that kind of thing. Which I think every roguelike more than like half an hour needs. Critadel is pretty short, but due to all the crashes and stuff, the lack of a save feature really hurt it the first couple weeks it was out. I definitely have experienced my fair share of bugs with this, but nothing that's been like game breaking. It's just stuff that's annoying, kind of ruins your experience a little bit, but nothing too bad. Kind of a bummer how, like, almost all the passives you get, they don't do anything on bosses, because they're all around the stylish effect, stylish bar. Inspiration DMC definitely handles that kind of thing a lot better. Here it's like, well, you're at a boss, so like 80% of the stuff you pick up has no purpose. That's how they're designed. Hopefully I can finish this run. Not the next one for sure. It's just that final boss sucks. I don't like it at all. It's kind of bad to the point where I don't want to play the game anymore. It's just gimmicks and projectile spam. Just like, don't even feel like you're actually fighting it. They had made the bosses a little bit more open. It's like, sure, make them not react to anything. I mean, the combos in this game aren't really that interesting anyway. But at least give me a way to kill them faster besides just grinding for more damage. I feel like your builds in this game, like, they don't really matter that much because the bosses just ignore all of it. You know, Rise bosses are kind of like this game's bosses too. You know, the fact that they have two phases, and it's not possible to kill them instantly. The difference is in that game you can build your character and take them down pretty fast. This game is kind of missing that. I'm sure they'll iron out the bosses, though. They definitely feel like the weakest part. It also doesn't have alternating bosses either. It's not like Critadel, Isaac, stuff like that, where you don't fight the same boss every time. So the fact that they're so kind of like not fun to fight is a pretty big problem. There's no alternatives. I like when roguelikes do that. They give you like 2 or 3 bosses per level. You gonna come out of the Shadow Realm or what? Come on. Thank you. Shadow Realm is strong in this game. It's definitely got the beat 'em up DNA. Sometimes they just camp out of bounds for like forever, pretty much. Clear this time. The final boss is bad. Everything I hate about video game bosses. Oh, come on! He make these enemies less annoying. Not even threatening, just annoying. Projectile spam and the weird hitboxes. No, it's mostly just projectile spam and waiting, which is the problem with this game, is the bosses are just boring. So much waiting around. They tried to make it so that you couldn't burst them down, but they kind of forgot that, like, that's part of the fun of these kinds of games, is those runs where you just become unstoppable. The builds don't really seem to do much. The problem with the passive items is that they all revolve around the styrometer, which sounds great on paper, but it essentially means you can't use any of that shit on the bosses. The bosses are in hyper armor, and they have an armor bar, but the armor bar doesn't make them stagger. What it does is it stuns them. That's the only time you can do damage. Like, almost all the stuff you get, it has, like, no impact on bosses. I think that's the main thing they need to fix. The only thing that makes the bosses go faster is just grinding for more damage. Yeah, this doesn't really feel like a roguelike. I mean, it kind of does, but just due to how the items are designed, it doesn't really feel like there's much of a build. As the bosses render almost all of it irrelevant. You can't use it. The bosses just suffer from trying to be challenging, but then, like, forgetting that this is a roguelike, and you're gonna be fighting the same bosses every time. And it gets boring, just waiting and waiting. I know they struggled to get this game out, but it definitely is lacking alternate bosses. I like that about Critadel. The runs in that were a lot more different than this. You had a lot of variants of what you get. Like Critadel had like 2-3 bosses. Yeah, I heard about that. I wish I cared. I don't like Smash. Everybody's trying to get a piece of that Smash profits. You got Nick Smash, you got Warner Brothers Smash. Everybody wants that Smash money. I heard the Nick game is actually pretty good. But I'm not really an authority on that because I don't like Smash Brothers games. It seems like most people actually like it. The netcode is better too, so I mean that helps. Smash is awful to play online. Soft lock? Oh, this guy. I need to mute my mic. I'll be right back. Let me go to the bathroom first. I'm gonna mute my mic to record this because there's no video of the last boss yet. Yeah, I don't know if you played Skull when it came out. The pacing in this game does remind me of Skull in early access, where uh, it's just very slow paced. It took a long time just to get like through the first level and stuff. But then they pushed a patch in Skull, which like it felt like it like doubled the pace. This game definitely needs that. They need to truncate the amount of waves and stuff, make it flow faster. But yeah, sometimes you get like 2, 3 waves per room, and it just feels like you're not going anywhere. It's like the fire escape in like DD Crew or something, where you're just on the same screen and you're not moving forward, and it feels like the game is like it's just repeating. It's like this endless loop. Obviously, it's not. I'm at the end of the game right now, but yeah, that's something they should improve. Skull was a lot like that when it came out. Uh, just like the combat is fast paced, but the run length and everything is not. So they're kind of like at odds with each other. Anyway, I need to mute the mic so I can record this, and then I'll catch up with you guys after. I got to go to the bathroom too. Just give me a few minutes. So don't worry if you don't hear me talking. I'm gonna local record this, but I got to go to the bathroom first. Pretty long fight. I should gain a fucking soft lock on a boss that's just a bunch of generic mooks. It just takes like 10 minutes. It's boring. I don't want to do that every single time I play. Can you please just have normal bosses? I can't believe the game fucking soft locked. God. Did they not test this or what? The boss fights suck. I'm sorry. They suck. They really suck. It's just doing the same thing for too long. And like, none of the items matter. It's all just pointless. Like, why is it even there? Nice if it's a soft lock on me. And I even finished the game now? I need to record again. All right, well, the verdict on this game, for starters, don't character hop playing this game. It's very boring for one, and also, if you get towards the end of the game, it gives you currency exchanging, so you can make a character fun to play without actually having to play them. Uh, Contrary to proper belief, you can't play as more than one character in this game. You just can't. The game is not designed in a way where you can. Um, as skill based as it looks, you have 20% of the health that I have on this character right now. So um, some attacks do 25, 30 damage. There's no like defense buffs in this game at all. So you're not getting that far with 100 health. You're just not. It's not going to happen. It's not fully skill based like other games that people will compare this to inevitably, like Hades and Dead Cells. Skull is another one as well, where with skill you can clear the game with trash items, no grinding, anything like that. This game is not like that at all. With 100 health, you're not clearing it, plain and simple. And you're also going to have no moves, which means that you have like very little utility. You have no supers. You're missing a lot of things actually. um, Don't go into this expecting it to be like Hades or Dead Cells, where they actually put a lot of care into like designing it in a way where you can beat the game completely with skill. Wizard of Legend is another one as well. I remember I got a review key for that a couple weeks before it came out, and then it took me a long time to beat the game. I was under embargo. I couldn't say or share anything about the game. I had no guides or anything. It took me a long time to beat that game. But then when the embargo lifted and it came out on Switch, I paid for it out of pocket and I beat the game on like my first try. This game is nothing like that. You have to grind. There's no way around it. In terms of how it is as a roguelike, there's a number of things that hurt this game as a roguelike. I don't think it has anywhere near the replay value that any of these other action, combat-focused roguelikes have. There's a number of reasons for that. The first is, I can show you right here, almost all of these items you can get, like the passives you can get, these are essentially the items in the game. None of them work on bosses. Hardly any of them work. The only ones that really matter on bosses, I'd say, are the ones that just give you more health. Even that, once you learn the bosses like I did there, I figured out that third phase blind, and I had no problems at all. None of this matters on bosses. All of it only matters on trash. And you have to grind a really long time to make these interesting. I guess this is how they're trying to pad out the game. The builds just don't matter. It's nothing like Hades or like Dead Cells or like Skull. Very similar games, focus on melee combat, skill-based, with roguelike progression on the side. The builds, I can barely tell the difference between them. I definitely think that's something they need to look into. I don't even really feel like this needs to be a roguelike. I feel like after I've been playing it, I've been playing this for like 8 hours. I honestly feel like the roguelike stuff just kind of feels tacked on. The runs don't feel any different. It's just what items you get, and most of them have no bearing on the bosses whatsoever. It does help that the second to last boss, or the first part of the last boss fight, where you're fighting a lot of mooks, I guess your build can kind of matter there. But you saw there, I had like barely any of that stuff, and it didn't matter. What mattered was the fact that I did so much grinding to max out my attack and my health, so I could get through the game easily. I don't think this is a good roguelike. Not at all. It really pales in comparison to other games that this is similar to. I would say this is most similar to like Dead Cells, Hades, and Skull. Wizard of Legend as well. It's just minus the fact that it's not designed to be skill-based at all. They really want you to grind. And the fact that the experience currency is not directly shareable, you can't give it to anybody else, it essentially means that you have to pick one character and stick with them. You try to character hop, you're going to have no moves, you're going to have no health. You only get the health and the attack passes for beating the bosses, so I don't know, I think this game could be something great with... It could be something great with some patches. The way it is now, don't expect to get a lot of playtime out of this. It just does not have the replay value. The replay value is pretty much solely around leveling up the characters. It's just missing... It's missing a lot of things that would make this a good roguelike. For one, the lack of interesting builds. They put way too much emphasis on the style meter designing these. I think if even some of these worked on bosses, it would help a lot. But the way it is now, like, most of this stuff just has no bearing on the bosses. Pretty standard video game stuff. You've got these status effects and stuff which do help. It really does make managing the crowds more manageable. But you know how status effects are in video games. They almost never work on bosses. So why would I take any of this stuff? If I'm at the end of the run, I've only got 2 bosses, or technically 3 bosses. If you count the last boss is kind of 2 bosses in one. Why would I take this? Why would I upgrade this? It doesn't make sense to upgrade it. You upgrade, like, the passives and stuff that heal you. That's so much better than anything else you can get. The balancing is really off. It's a bummer. I was hoping to like play this a lot more, but it just doesn't have the replay value. It really doesn't. They want you to grind for moves and stuff, but I mean, really, that's the only thing you have to grind for. Like, nothing else really matters. I didn't upgrade any of this stuff. I didn't upgrade the pots at all. Upgrading this is like so much better use of your currency. The damage as well. This game's okay. I wouldn't say it's not gonna stand up to the greats the way it is now. Let's just be honest here. This game is not gonna stand up to the greats. Mostly just because it's lacking in replay value. I can tell they put a lot of work and a lot of love into this, but I think they kind of missed the mark. Like, you want to get these regardless. You have to get these. You cannot go without them. If you don't, then the bosses take longer to kill, and the bosses are like the worst part of this game, by far. I think the main problem with the bosses is that almost none of the stuff you get on the bosses, none of the build stuff you get, the items, none of it matters. The bosses are very one-dimensional. You have to fight them the way that they want you to. You don't really have any freedom whatsoever. You know, Skull is a lot like this game. The bosses in Skull, you know, they don't have variants of bosses, so you know it has the same problem that Skull has, where you're fighting the same bosses every time, and after a while, it just feels like it's just busy work. The difference is that in Skull, you have so many different ways you can play and you can build the character, and most of it actually is relevant on bosses. There are ways you can build to like trivialize the bosses or make the bosses easier and give you more room for error. This game has nothing like that at all. The bosses are going to be the same thing literally every time you play, and I think that that for one, that really hurts the replay value in my opinion. I'll probably play this more after it gets patches. I don't think I would play this more right now. It's a bummer. Not a bad game at all. I think it's a bad roguelike. It just does not have the variety. They're really trying to market it as like, oh, it changes every time. I played through the game. I only beat the game once, but I played through the entire game multiple times. It barely changes. The itemization is very weak. The thing about roguelikes like this, where there's a lot more skill involved than just getting items, it can be tempting to like not put anything that lets you break the game. But the thing about roguelikes is that's part of the fun. Part of the fun is like, you know, sometimes you're just going to be this unstoppable force that mows through everything like butter. And that's what keeps you playing. And the decision-making process, you know, every decision you make is impactful. You know, certain things you do are going to, they might affect the entire run. You might not be able to afford something that will let you break the game later on. You might not be able to finish your build. The game has nothing like that right now. It doesn't feel like I ever have to think about anything I choose. It's pretty much just the only thing I need to choose is the healing passives. 'Cause the healing passives are like pretty much the only way to keep your health topped up. Other than that, you get those and nothing else matters. And that's not good game design for something that's trying to sell itself as a roguelike. That's bad game design. It's really a bummer. Well, I'll put up that video and I think I'll just wait for some patches on that. I'm glad I finished it before it came out. I'll probably put up the overview later tonight when I get home or something. I don't feel like doing it right now. I wouldn't really give the game a rating. I don't want to give it a rating when it's very obvious they're going to polish the game, but um, there's too many status effects, and none of them work on bosses, which is like, it's always something I've hated in video games. Like, okay, you're going to give me all this shit. You know, the enemies can do all this stuff. They can freeze me in place. They can prevent me from attacking. They can slow me down and stuff. But then, like, none of it works on the enemies or the bosses. Tunche has the exact same problem. Like, is it really going to make the bosses that much trivialized if we let me do that on them? I mean, just there's no decision making in the game at all. It feels like the roguelike stuff is tacked on. They could have easily just made it a beat 'em up with permadeath, not even bothered with the roguelike stuff, and I feel like the game would have been a lot better. It feels like just playing it that they didn't really have time to make that aspect of it strong. I would not recommend that game over the other games I've mentioned. Those games are a better overall package, better replay value. The item, decision making and stuff is more meaningful. Um, Most stuff works on bosses, at least to a certain extent. Yeah, I say wait and see on that. It's good for one playthrough, but then it's a lot of grinding to get farther, and there's like just not really anything to grind for. It feels like you just max out the stuff that makes you heal, and none of the other stuff is worth it at all. It just feels pointless, which is a shame. I got some other roguelikes. I was really excited for that game, but it's just not replayable. It's missing all the things that makes you want to keep playing, and that's a real shame. I think I'm just going to go ahead and hop off there, actually. That's pretty much all I wanted to do. I wanted to finish that before it comes out. So I got the final boss up. I'll get the final boss up, and then I'll do an overview. And I'll definitely wait for patches. Hopefully they can iron it out. I don't know how well it will sell. I hope it will sell well enough that they can justify doing patches. Um, it's a shitty roguelike. It's a great game, bad roguelike. Um, if you want melee combat and roguelike stuff, you have better options. Maybe not graphically. Tunche is a very beautiful game. The presentation is great. It's just it falls flat in being what it's trying to be, and that's a real shame. I can't really recommend it over other stuff. Well, I think I'll stop there. Thanks for watching. I may or may not stream over at my neighbor's house tonight because I actually finished most of the stuff I wanted to do. I finished Skull, so on Switch, so I can do a port review for that, and then Tunche's done. Just need to put up the final boss and the overview. So I might actually stream over there. I just can't do anything that requires the analog stick. So I've still got drift. Yeah, thanks for watching. I should be back tonight for sure.